Welcome to Dark Knight Films Reviews. I'm your host, Spease, and today we are doing a ranking video for the top 10 underrated slasher villains. Now this list will be villains that, for whatever reason in films, were not well received at the time of release or were not given a lot of attention. So, what are your top 10 of underrated slasher villains? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you like these videos, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Now, let's get started with number 10. Alan / Jennifer Beattie from Killer Party. Now, this character would be a lot higher on my list had the MPAA not completely fucked this movie over. Killer Party does not get any attention nowadays, and nobody, most people don't know anything about this film, which is unfortunate because it is a well-shot film, and it has a really good cast, and everybody performs well in their roles, especially Jennifer, who, by the end of the film, it is revealed, is possessed by the spirit of Alan, who was the recipient to a prank gone wrong back several years before the events in the film start. And now he's back, and he's possessing Jennifer, and he's killing off any of these sorority kids. Unfortunately, the kills are just completely shit-canned in this film, and it just looks, it just takes everything out of it. Everything else in this movie is great. Jennifer is a great character. The way she looks, the whole possessed look, the whole weird demonic thing where she's crawling across the freaking ceiling. I mean, imagine how badass that would have been had her kills not been completely sanitized and basically cut short before the carnage ever happens. So yeah, that's why this ended up being my number 10. It would have been higher on the list had her or his kills been fully intact. Coming in at number 9, we have the Prowler from the movie The Prowler. And this killer has a completely unique look. The kills that this killer kills are very memorable. Special effects are done by Tom Savini, so this thing has all of the coolness factor of the original Friday the 13th, but you actually have, in my opinion, a better looking and a more cool looking and cool designed killer than what Pamela was, because Pamela was just a girl, a woman, killing. But yeah, the Prowler has just a unique and cool look. I mean, and it is just a shame that it doesn't get the attention that it deserves today. It is a really interesting and good 80s horror film, and I think it deserves its spot on this list. Coming in at number 8, we have the Cherub from Valentine. This character is better known as Jeremy Melton or Adam Carr. But this killer has such a cool look. The long coat, the boots that he's wearing, and then the cool-ass, creepy cherub mask that has those, emotionless doll-like eyes that, whenever this killer is killing, it is cool as hell because the killer he has that vibe of Michael Myers in a way, because that mask is just so soulless and empty and creepy. And it's funny because it's a mask of what is a angelic kind of a creature with a cherub that's being turned to a killer. And some of the kills in Valentine that the cherub does are really good. Valentine does not get the attention it deserves. And that's why he belongs on my list of the most underrated slasher villains. Easily. Coming in at number 7, we have Max Jinke from The Horror Show. Max Jinke was played by the legendary character actor Brion James. And Brion James is so good in this with his creepy little laugh that he does throughout it. And his tormenting of Lance Henriksen throughout this film. I mean, you have Brion James, you have Lance Henriksen as his main person he's out for revenge against. And it is just, he's an executed killer, come back for revenge. And he has this scarred, badass look to him. And this was meant to be the third film in the House film series. But Sean Cunningham ended up, yes, that Sean Cunningham, the director of Friday the 13th and, basic creator of Friday the 13th, did this due to the fact that he was also responsible for the House movies. But yeah, the Horror Show is it's really underrated, and I don't think it deserves to be. I think it deserves more attention. It is a really cool slasher film with nice twists and turns throughout it. On that same level, coming in at number 6, we have Horace Pinker from Shocker. This character, played by Mitch Pileggi, is... he's so off the wall and so freaky as a character with his attitude. He's not like Jinke, where he does this, creepy little laugh thing that unnerves you. It's just, he feels like a real serial killer at the beginning of this thing before he gets executed.
No more Mr. Nice Guy.
That's why I connected these two together, sort of, because they've both been executed and they come back for revenge. But Max doesn't make the list as high as Horace, just because Horace, with the direction of Wes Craven on this film, Horace is just a really cool character that can, uses electricity to go into electric sockets and stuff, and travels through electricity and static energy and then possesses people and everything. He's just a really cool, interesting character. And it's just a shame that it doesn't get the attention it deserves today. Very underrated character and very underrated film by Wes Craven. Coming in at number 5, we have Madman Mars from Mad Men. I mean, this character has an interesting backstory. Killing his family, being caught, being hanged, and then his body just completely disappearing. And now, anytime anyone ever says his name above a whisper in the woods, he comes for them and kills them. That is a really cool story for him, and his design is great in this film. It is a shame that this, Well, I'm going to say that a lot in this list because these are films that don't get a lot of the credit they deserve. But yeah, Madman is a really good film, and the character of Madman Mars, he's got some really good kills in here. You know, the kills that he gets in here. It's not as good as the one next on my list, but he's no slouch for the kills. Now, coming in at number 4, we have Cropsey from The Burning. Now, as I said before, Madman Mars didn't have the kills. Well, Cropsey does have some really excellent kills due to the fact, once again, Tom Savini did the effects for this film. And Tom Savini just works his ass off on these films and does, a great job on effects on any of these films. Much like The Prowler, where he did great effects in that one. But in The Burning, I mean, there is a cast of who's who future big stars, from Holly Hunter to Jason Alexander. You know, I mean, it's pretty weird how many big people are in this, and it's not very well known. And I'm sure a lot of these people would like to ignore the fact that they were in this film, but it is a respectable and really good horror film, and it deserves this spot on my list. Coming in at number 3, we have Rusty Nail from the Joyride trilogy. Now, Joyride started off with the Paul Walker, Steve Zahn movie in the beginning, where Ted Levine was voicing the character. But in the second film in the series, which doesn't get a lot of credit, I mean, most people might have heard the first film, but they wouldn't never realize that there's a second and third movie to this. Second movie, again, it stays pretty true to the way Rusty Nail was portrayed in 2, except it gives him more kills and more violence to do in it. But it still keeps him kind of less being showed in it. Now, in the third film, I really liked how they actually started showing him more. And he was played in this both voice and acting wise by a very underrated actor, stuntman named Ken Kirzinger, who had played Jason Voorhees, had played the father in one of the Wrong Turn movies. I think it was Wrong Turn 2. And he's always solid in anything he's in, because he's just got this big size. That's why he was so big, a big choice to play Jason, even though they didn't need to cast a big guy like him for Jason. But as Rusty Nail, he gets to portray him voice acting and everything.
Oh God, please no! Listen, I'm sorry, sorry! Please.
Shouldn't have jacked me up with the cops, Mickey. You got ahead of yourself. That makes me mad.
And I just think it's a shame that after the third one, they didn't carry on with Ken carrying on and continuing the role, because I guarantee you if he had, this character would be number 1 on my list now. But he doesn't really get time to shine until that third film, in my opinion, as a character. And that's why he kind of made it up to the list on number 3. Coming in at number 2, we have Billy Chapman from Silent Night, Deadly Night. This character is such a sympathetic character. You meet him at the beginning when he's a kid. He's traumatized by the death of his parents at the hands of a killer in a Santa suit. And he tries to get his life together after being tormented in this orphanage run by this crazy Mother Superior. And she basically drives him nuts while he's in there. But he tries to get it together after he's out of there. Gets a job working at this place, and then, boom, the guy tries to put him in a Santa suit to be Santa for Christmas. And he ends up eventually snapping and goes on this epic, cool-ass killing spree. Silent Night, Deadly Night does not get enough praise for being the great Christmas killer film that it is. And Billy Chapman is the most memorable out of all of those films in that series. There have been, there's the sequel with Ricky, his brother, taking over as the killer, and then the third one where Ricky was returned as played by Bill Moseley, and then we have the remake, which the remake wasn't too bad, and it's one of the better of the remakes, but nothing can beat the original Billy Chapman. And that's why he is my number 2. And finally, coming in at number 1, we have Chrome Skull from the Laid to Rest movies. Now, Chrome Skull is such a unique-looking character with his chrome skull mask that he has, and the outfit that he wears, and the way he mounts a camera on his shoulder to film all of his carnage whenever he's killing someone or torturing someone. And he is such an interesting and awesome character. It's a shame that this series was kind of cut short by the tragic death of its director, creator, writer, Robert Green Hall. Because he fully planned on having Chrome Skull return for another film and everything in this series. But when he died suddenly and tragically, all ideas of doing another film without him was just completely dropped. That's a shame, because this series, Chrome Skull, is such an interesting character in both Laid to Rest and Chrome Skull Laid to Rest 2. Both those films are brutal. They've got great kills. They've got great casts in them. And it's just a shame. And that's why this character makes my number 1 on the most underrated slasher villains. So what do you think? Do you agree with my list? What would you put down as your top 10 underrated slasher villains? And as usual, if you like this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because it really does help my channel out a lot. And I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.